Chapter 7. When Solomon finished praying, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. The priests could not enter the temple of the Lord because the glory of the Lord filled it. When all the Israelites saw the fire coming down and the glory of the Lord above the temple, they knelt on the pavement with their faces to the ground, and they worshipped and praised the Lord, saying, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever." Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord. King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the temple of God. The priests took their positions, as did the Levites with the instruments of music for the Lord that King David had made for praising the Lord and for singing. His steadfast love endures forever. This was how they performed the songs of praise that David had written. All the Israelites were standing while the priests blew trumpets opposite them. Solomon also consecrated the central courtyard in front of the temple of the Lord, where he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the fellowship offerings. Because the bronze altar he had made was too small to hold the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the fat portions of the fellowship offerings. So Solomon and all Israel celebrated the festival for 7 days, a very large assembly of people from Lebo Hamath in the north to the border of Egypt in the south. On the 8th day they held a solemn assembly, for they had celebrated the dedication of the altar for 7 days, and the festival of shelters for 7 days more. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, Solomon sent the people home. They were joyful and glad in heart for the good things the Lord had done for David and Solomon, and for his people Israel. So Solomon finished building the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and successfully carried out all that he had planned to do in the temple of the Lord and in his own palace. Then the Lord appeared to Solomon at night and said, "I have heard your prayer and have chosen this temple as the place for making sacrifices. When I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people. If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal their land. My eyes will be open, and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I have chosen and consecrated this temple, so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. As for you, if you walk before me faithfully, as David your father did, and do all I command, and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne, as I covenanted with David your father when I said, 'You shall never fail to have a successor to rule over Israel.' But if you turn away and forsake the decrees and commands I have given you, and go off to serve and worship other gods, then I will uproot Israel from my land, which I have given them, and will reject this temple I have consecrated for my name. I will make it an object of ridicule among all peoples. Though this temple is now so exalted, all who pass by will be appalled, and will say, 'Why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and to this temple?' And the answer will be, because they have forsaken the Lord, the God of their ancestors, who brought them out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshiping and serving them. That is why he brought all this disaster on them." Chapter 8. It took Solomon 20 years to build the temple of the Lord and his own royal palace. He also rebuilt the towns that Hiram, king of Tyre, had given him, and settled Israelites in them. Then Solomon went to Hamath-Zobah and captured it. He rebuilt Tadmor in the desert, and all the store cities in the region of Hamath. He also rebuilt Upper Beth-horon and Lower Beth-horon, which were fortified with walls, gates, and bars, as well as Boloth and all his store cities, and the cities where his chariots and horses were kept. Solomon built whatever he desired in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and throughout all the territory of his kingdom. All the construction work of Solomon was done using forced labor. He conscripted the descendants of the peoples of Canaan, whom the Israelites had not destroyed when they took over the land: Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Their descendants are still serving as forced laborers to this day. But Solomon did not make any Israelite slaves for his work. They served as soldiers, officers, commanders of chariots, and cavalry. There were also 250 officials in charge of supervising the workers. Solomon brought Pharaoh's daughter up from the city of David to the palace he had built for her, For he said, "My wife must not live in the palace of David king of Israel, because the places where the ark of the Lord has been are holy." On the altar of the Lord that he had built in front of the temple, Solomon offered burnt offerings to the Lord. He followed the requirements of the law of Moses for the daily sacrifices, the Sabbaths, the new moons, and the 3 annual festivals, the festival of unleavened bread, the festival of weeks, and the festival of tabernacles. In accordance with the instructions given by his father David, Solomon assigned the divisions of the priests for their duties, and the Levites to lead the praise and to assist the priests in their daily work. He also appointed the gatekeepers in their divisions for each gate, as David the man of God had commanded. The priests and Levites carried out their duties in strict obedience to the commands of David, including the oversight of the temple treasuries. But all the work of Solomon was completed, from the day the foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid until its completion. The temple of the Lord was finished. Then Solomon went to Ezion-Geber and Eloth on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. King Hiram sent him ships commanded by his own officers, men who knew the sea. These, with Solomon's men, sailed to Ophir and brought back over 15,000 kilograms of gold for King Solomon. Chapter 9. When the Queen of Sheba heard about Solomon's fame, she came to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. She arrived with a very large entourage, with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones. When she met Solomon, she talked with him about all she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for him to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw the wisdom of Solomon, the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their uniforms, the cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "What I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe what they said until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half the greatness of your wisdom was told to me. You have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be, how happy your officials, who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom, as praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on his throne as king, to rule for the Lord your God. Because of the love of your God for Israel and his desire to uphold them forever, he has made you king over them, to maintain justice and righteousness." Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, about 4,000 kilograms, large quantities of spices, and precious stones. There had never been such spices as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. The servants of Hiram and Solomon who brought gold from Ophir also brought algum wood and precious stones. The king used the algum wood to make steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and to make harps and lyres for the musicians. Nothing like them had ever been seen before in the land of Judah. King Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba all she desired and asked for, besides what he had given her out of his royal bounty. Then she left and returned with her attendants to her own country. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was about 23,000 kilograms, not including the revenue brought in by merchants and traders. All the kings of Arabia and the governors of the land also brought gold and silver to Solomon. King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold, each weighing nearly 7 kilograms, and 300 smaller shields of hammered gold, each weighing about 3.5 kilograms. He placed them in the hall of the forest of Lebanon. Then the king made a great throne inlaid with ivory and overlaid with pure gold. The throne had 6 steps, and a footstool of gold was attached to it. It had armrests on each side of the seat, with a lion standing beside each armrest. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one on each end of every step. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's drinking vessels were gold, and all the household articles in the hall of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Silver was considered of little value in Solomon's days. The king had a fleet of trading ships that went to Tarshish with Hiram's fleet. Once every 3 years the ships returned, bringing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and baboons. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. All the kings of the earth sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought gifts, articles of silver and gold, robes, weapons, spices, horses, and mules. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for chariot horses and 12,000 horses, which he kept in the chariot cities and also with him in Jerusalem. He ruled over all the kings from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. During Solomon's reign, silver was as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig trees in the foothills of Judah. Solomon imported horses from Egypt and from all other lands. As for the other events of Solomon's reign from beginning to end, are they not written in the records of Nathan the prophet, in the prophecy of Ahijah of Shiloh, and in the visions of Iddo the seer, concerning Jeroboam son of Nebat? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel for 40 years. Then he rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David his father. And Rehoboam, his son, succeeded him as king.